December 21st, 1992. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It was just 3 days before Christmas when 25-year-old elementary school teacher Christy Mirack failed to show up for work. Her friends expected holiday cheer, but instead, they were met with a scene so brutal, so unthinkable, it would haunt investigators for decades. The case baffled police. There were suspects. There were theories. But no one could have predicted the truth. Because when the killer was finally unmasked, 25 years later, the revelation stunned everyone. Who murdered Christy Mirack? And why did it take a quarter of a century to finally find out? Christy Mirack was born in 1967, the middle child in a close-knit Pennsylvania family. She was known for her bright smile, boundless energy, and above all, her dedication to teaching. Christy was an elementary school teacher at Rowerstown Elementary. Her students adored her. Colleagues described her as the teacher who went the extra mile, the one who decorated her classroom, stayed late to help kids, and poured her heart into her job. Outside of work, Christy was social and warm. She loved spending time with friends, dancing, and enjoying life. She lived alone in a modest townhouse on William Penn Way, independent, but surrounded by a supportive community. Her life seemed full of promise. She was young, ambitious, and had her whole future ahead of her. No one could have imagined that just days before Christmas, her life would be taken in the most horrific way possible. December 21st, 1992, began like any other Monday. Christy woke early, planning her day. Her school was hosting a holiday party, and she had prepared treats and activities for her students. But as the morning ticked on, concern began to grow. Christy, always punctual, always reliable, never arrived at school. Her colleague, Principal Harry Goodman, tried calling her home. No answer. Finally, driven by unease, he decided to check on her in person. When he arrived at Christy's townhouse around 9 a.m., the front door was slightly ajar. He stepped inside. What he found would stay with him for the rest of his life. Christy lay dead on the living room floor. She had been brutally beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted. The festive gifts she had prepared for her students were still neatly stacked by the door, a chilling reminder of a life interrupted in the most violent way imaginable. Police rushed to the scene. The crime was vicious. The attacker had left clear signs of rage. Furniture overturned, evidence of a struggle, Christy's injuries severe. Yet there were also signs of something else. Control. The killer had forced entry, but seemed to know when she'd be home. Detectives immediately suspected that Christy's killer wasn't random. Whoever did this likely knew her and maybe even watched her. The community was in shock. A beloved young teacher murdered just before Christmas? Parents struggled to explain the tragedy to their children. Fear rippled through Lancaster. Who would do this to Christy Mirack? From the start, investigators had clues. A semen sample was recovered from Christy's body. This meant the killer had left behind DNA evidence that, in 1992, was groundbreaking but limited. Police built a list of suspects. Her boyfriend at the time. Questioned and cleared. Neighbors in her townhouse complex. Questioned and cleared. Co-workers and acquaintances. No evidence. Every lead seemed to collapse. Detectives released composite sketches. They ran the DNA through national databases. Nothing. For years, the case remained at the forefront of local memory. Christy's family demanded answers. Her mother, Mary, said every Christmas became unbearable. But with each passing year, hope dimmed. The case officially went cold. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, investigators reopened files, re-examined evidence, and tested DNA with improving technology. Still, no match. Theories swirled. Was it a stranger attack? An obsessed stalker? Or someone Christy had trusted? In 2011, nearly 20 years later, investigators resubmitted the DNA. Again, nothing. By then, many wondered if the case would ever be solved. But then, in 2017, everything changed. The breakthrough came thanks to genetic genealogy, the same revolutionary method that would later identify the Golden State Killer. In 2017, investigators submitted the unknown killer's DNA to a public genealogy database. This database wasn't built for crime, it was for people researching family trees. But it worked. The results pointed to a family in Pennsylvania. By building out the family tree, genealogists zeroed in on one man, Raymond Rowe. Rowe was a local DJ. Popular. Charismatic. Known in the community as DJ Freeze. For years, he had performed at weddings, school dances, and community events. On the surface, he was a friendly, familiar face. But behind closed doors, he was hiding a monstrous secret. Raymond Rowe, at the time of the murder, was 24 years old. He lived in Lancaster, just miles from Christy's townhouse. He had a history of relationships with women and a disturbing reputation for aggression. But he had never been a serious suspect. He didn't work with Christy. He wasn't in her circle. To the community, Rowe was just the DJ. Detectives needed proof. So they went undercover. In 2018, police attended an event where Rowe was performing. They secretly collected a piece of chewing gum and a water bottle he discarded. The DNA matched. After 25 years, Christy Mirack's killer was finally identified. In June 2018, Rowe was arrested. The news shocked Lancaster. How could a man so visible, a DJ who had entertained thousands, also be a killer hiding in plain sight for decades? In 2019, Rowe pled guilty to the rape and murder of Christy Mirack. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. For Christy's family, it was a bittersweet moment. Justice had finally come, but only after decades of grief. Her brother, Vince, said, "Every Christmas, we think of Christy. Now at least we can also think of justice." The case became one of the first in the nation to showcase the power of genetic genealogy, paving the way for dozens of other cold cases to be solved. Christy Mirack was just 25 years old. A daughter, a sister, a teacher loved by her students. For 25 years, her family lived without answers. And the man responsible, a DJ hiding in plain sight, lived freely among them. It took science, persistence, and time to finally reveal the truth. But here's the chilling question. How many more killers are still out there, blending into everyday life, waiting to be unmasked? What do you think? Will technology one day solve every cold case? Or are some mysteries destined to remain unsolved?